of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Chistero, Chapter 74, Operation Treat Cat Dad, Part 5. Midoriya Izuku had had the best last day at school before summer vacation ever, and now he and Kachan who'd stuck up for him today, who'd been the first person to clap when he'd given his presentation on the importance of support heroes and medical teams and scowled at the people not clapping, were walking towards the Northern Echo Cafe with their heads held high and thoughts of a fun-packed summer on their minds.
Deku, when are we going camping in August? Do you want to borrow one of my tents, or is your mom going to get you one?
Sometimes he couldn't quite believe how lucky he'd been, and while he wished with every fiber of his body that Toshi-kun's mother wasn't locked up, he couldn't deny that these past few months had been the best of his life so far. A life that not too long ago he'd hated.
Well, I think she's going to take me shopping before then to see what's in the sales, but can I please use one of yours if they're too pricey? I've got a sleeping bag and everything else, though.
Because, well, Kachan, the bravest, most fearless, most talented boy he'd known at the time, had pushed him away. The other kids at school had distanced themselves out of pity or disdain, too. He thought he'd have nothing but loneliness and his mother's sadness, her guilt, to grow up with.
Yep, sure thing, mate. I'm so pumped about tomorrow, aren't you? We won't have to queue for rides or anything, will we? I'm gonna ride the running rabbit loopy-loop until they're dizzy.
He'd been accepted by kids who'd also had their own baggage, their own troubles to deal, and they'd actually told him that he'd helped them. Him? Denki and Ojiro came to him not just for his brains, but for his company and companionship.
I can't wait to ride the All My All-Flight roller coaster, too. It can reach speeds of up to 128 miles per hour, and they built it at the far end of the park, so it looks like you're flying out and over the ocean. It's also got one of the best safety track records in the country, and it's in the Guinness Book of World Records because last year, a man called Yurakota rode it 100 times in a row to raise money for a homeless shelter.
And Jacko Etsuyu had really helped him to get over his awkward anxiety around girls, too. Before he'd met them, most girls he knew at school said he had no quirk cooties and wouldn't talk to him, let alone sit next to him or work with him on projects. Having Suchan help him to improve his biology grades, and Ochako wanting to hold his hand when they walked together, both of them eager to sit by his side, talk to him, share their food, and ask his opinion about things. Well, it made him feel on top of the world.
You sure do know a lot about everything. Oh, which reminds me, since we're both going into that advanced science class next semester, you'll still be okay to be lab partners, right?
Then there was Hitoshi, or as he liked to be called, Toshi. Toshi, who, even though his own mom, Shoni, and All Might would always be the best adults he could ever know, was in actual fact his number one hero. The boy, just a few weeks older than him, had shown the kind of strength, determination, and grit that went above and beyond anything he'd seen on the news, read in manga, or seen across his favorite anime shows. He had a quirk that could so easily be used to make people do what he wanted, when he wanted. He told him that having such a power really scared him. He had a quirk that would allow him to manipulate others, make friends, and intimidate his bullies. The very idea made the lilac-eyed boy break out in hives.
What? Of course I want to be your partner, Kachan. And hey, you know that science trophy? I bet we can win it before Christmas. We just need to come up with an experiment that'll blow the rest of the competition out of the water. And I was thinking, since you're going to be our team leader, we should come up with different ways of applying your nitroglycerin so we can add that to your UA application. Did you know that it can be used as a painkiller? Well, I don't think we'd be allowed to make such things, but we could analyze what you make and show everyone just how special their ability is, right?
To him, Hitoshi was bravery personified. He was so strong, so caring, so amazing, even without having gone through so much, because, sure, before Shoni showed up, he'd not really known what having a true father figure was like, but Hitoshi had had a dad, a man who loved him, tucked him into bed at night, taken him to baseball games, and hugged him when he was sad. To have known him and loved like that, and then to have had him taken away? To have his mom taken away too, and still want to do good and be good. Well, he was in awe of that. He was in awe of him. He hoped that they'd all be friends forever, and they would be, if he had anything to say about it.
What? Really? That's a great idea, Deku! We'll destroy everyone else at the science fair, for sure now.
Smiling, his cheeks almost aching from the stretch of his lips, Izuku nodded along, before with a wink, he said,
Always here to the North Echo. 3, 2,
What? 1, go! Ah, cheater! You'll have to run faster than that if you want to beat me!
God, it felt so good to be this happy. Kirishima Ejiro had always tried to appear happy-go-lucky because happy-go-lucky boys didn't make their moms feel guilty for always working, and happy-go-lucky boys made more friends. That last part had been one that he'd been wondering about for a while now. Sure, he didn't get picked on, and yes, he knew some boys who he played kickball with during recess, but he'd not really known what real friends were until he'd bothered his mom enough that she'd looked into the Sunday morning self-defense lessons he'd come across online and met the best people ever. They were the kindest, nicest, strongest, and most amazing group of individuals in the whole wide world. He was sure of it. Plus, today, they were going to have a surprise party for one of the best adults, hands down, and he'd get to meet and make even more big brothers. He was so heckin' pumped! Who'd have thought that his life would have become so full so quickly? Because he was happier and had friends to play with, his mom was happier too. She often apologized to him for getting home late or buying him takeout and leaving him home alone on the holidays. But that wasn't going to be an issue now, because he had a place to go. A place he could see right now. Oi! Chun-chun! Dinky! Ochoku! Tushi! Waving madly, his jagged teeth smile broadening widely when the four waved at him from across the road. He upped his pace when they stopped to wait for him, all of them regarding him fondly. Ah! Forget happy-go-lucky. Thanks for waiting. He was just out and out lucky, wasn't he?
Is this really necessary?
Being blindfolded by people he loved and trusted wasn't scary in and of itself. However, if someone had broken or damaged something, he'd much rather just be told so he could clean it up. Or Google someone that could. Yes, it's necessary. Now come on, no bacon, alright? Having, he stood in the cat maintenance room and allowed the blonde to tie the thing.
Why did we come down the back stairs?
He furthered,
And please don't let me kick any of the cats.
He added, his hands held by the two youngest people in the room, whilst Nabi placed a hand on his shoulder.
No, he's covering the cat flaps, and I'm getting the door, Aizawa knew. Don't worry.
Seiji told him, his tone finally exasperated. Such good kids.
Okay, fine, I'm shutting up.
He surrendered.
But we are going to talk about how weird this is later, right?
He snickered because, really? His stupidity had kind of ruined this surprise, hadn't it? However, he supposed that he hadn't properly seen his care center siblings all together, and he was looking forward to seeing them meet the Tats, Spinner, and the rest of the pros too. Something told him that many of them would have a lot in common. He was particularly thrilled, really, to introduce Izuku to the twins. For if anyone was going to convince the boy that his dreams were still possible, well, it'd be them, wouldn't it? Shh! He's here! Blinking, which felt weird against the fabric shrouding his eyes. Shouta recognized his Tats, and Mitsuki, wasn't it a little early for her to be here? Giggling, the cool air of his cafe just as refreshing and filled with the sounds of shuffling feet, the scent of fresh brewed coffee, yes please, and a sense of anticipation he couldn't quite place.
Now, don't freak out, alright?
Hitoshi, that small hand squeezing, is warned.
Freak out?
He chuckled.
Why, did the Gale try to cook something?
Hey, hey! His most boisterous sibling piped up amidst the cacophony of laughter. You ruin one rice cooker when you're 15 and it haunts you forever. He muttered good-naturedly whilst the chuckles increased. Now come on already, the suspense is killing me over here. Seconded. Same.
Suspense over what?
Eyes widening as Dabi undid the loose knot tied into the fabric, which blocked his vision, Shouta had to do a double take as he took in the study area, his hands inadvertently squeezing Tomura's and Hitoshi's as he looked from the tables decked out with gifts to the people stood around it. Everyone was here. Kohaku-san and Inko stood next to the knitting nook, where Mimi-chan and the girls sat, their table not full of yarn, but covered in food, pitchers of lemonade, and glasses, whilst around the two study tables, his Tats, still in their All Might t-shirts, were arranged with his siblings. Takeo had Izuku in his arms. Spinner and Izashi were stood with their arms looped over each other's shoulders. Tomoko and Nemori were hugged together, and Obaro, his smile beaming, seemed to be standing quite close to Tadeo, the golden-eyed 19-year-old, seemed to be blushing too. Then the three grinning in a way which truly highlighted their friendship, Toshinori, Nezu, and Mirai were gathered in the gaming area, each holding little sparkly bags. He tried his tone a touch sheepish. Is it someone's birthday? Ow! He yelped, his gaze slanting towards Naoki, the quirked boy, having poked him in his side with a branchy finger, those doe eyes rolling. This is all for you, you idiot! He sighed, his tone rueful as he shook his head. Before you say anything else, I have it on very good authority that we can ask a police force lieutenant arrested you for crimes against Captain Appreciation. You got it? Blinking, his expression bewildered, he looked back at them all, his chest suddenly very tight.
Shut up, for goodness sake!
Mitsuki called, her crimson eyes flashing from where she was taking photographs or videos from behind the smaller of the two tables.
Just say thank you, and let's start hugging already.
Chuckling, his hand momentarily leaving dumb rest to wipe at his eyes, he regarded the people gathered there, his friends, his family, and let out a shaky, quiet, "Thank you," before he was rushed, his body cocooned as his hair was ruffled, and everyone started to tell him about all of the wonderful things they got in for him. Happy 3-month anniversary! Thank you for being such a great friend.
We love you, Shoni!
You've had this coming for a long time, man.
We got our get that cards at school. Oh, you have to open magnet first.
So good, I hope you like this.
Smiling, truly, his heart light and full, so full he thought it might burst. The 21-year-old allowed himself to be guided through his cafe, his hands holding, unwrapping, and cherishing every present given to him, whilst the people he loved most hugged, maneuvered, and pecked at his cheeks along the way. Damn, of all the ways this afternoon could have arrived, this, he knew, was the best. Yamada Hisashi watched the scene with a fond expression and wide smile. The teens and tots had really come together on this one, hadn't they? And man, oh man, was he ever glad to be a part of it. His hands eagerly accepting a rabbit-eared cupcake, definitely one of his favorites. As Nomori and Tomoko stood next to him by the booth closest to the gaming area, his mustache twitching heavily as he took the first bite of soft velvety cake and that zesty lemony icing. Yum! So, Sashi-chan, the dark-haired beauty, his second most very best friend, purred out as she leaned into his shoulder, her effervescent girlfriend chuckling behind the hand before she took a big gulp of her straw-dipped lemonade. Looks like Baruch has got himself a friend there, wouldn't you say? She asked, her head nodding to the smallest study table. Blinking, his grin broadening into a smirk, the Jedi man watched as his first most very best friend sheepishly talked to the golden-eyed 19-year-old Tadeo, the quieter, sweet-natured twin, the brunette's creamy cheeks pinking as he subtly readjusted his circular frame glasses and flooded those long, dark eyelashes. Oh! He sniggered. I'd say that you're right, he mused, his brows waggling. So, are you starting another dating betting pool, Emma-chan? Maybe, she crooned before with a nod to her girlfriend, who seemed just a little more happy than usual. Tomoko was suddenly leaning into his opposite side, his cheeks pinking, as she whispered into his ear. You know that tall cutie over there? Silver-eyed Seishi-kun? She breathed. Word on the street is that he's your biggest fan. Choking on the mouthful of cake he just bitten off, his gaze flitting around the room, Hisashi felt his heart skip a beat when the tall, gorgeous 18-year-old, who was stood next to Kamui Woods, and having clocked him staring, his posture stiffened as he quickly looked away, causing the tree bark boy to snicker, blushed full in his face, and shoved an autograph book at the pro in training. No freaking way! He loves your radio show, and according to Takeo, he's written into the studio to ask you questions like 1,000 times or something, she related. His Twitter handle is say72, and oh my gosh! He gushed, his enthusiasm brimming over, his outburst causing a few people to look over at him as Spinner walked towards them, a sandwich meeting its end as he approached. You okay, Sashi-senpai? He asked, a brow ridge cocking. He's Say 72? says how she heard himself stage whisper, his words leading Spinner to blink, his eyes widening.
Dude, what are the odds?
He laughed, his face turning to where the ivory-skinned man was now floundering, his body striding off to the bathroom, whilst Naoki laughed out loud before shaking his head and making his way over to the food table.
You have to talk to him. He predicted that you like to cayenne pepper. This is fate or something,
he stated, allowing himself to squeak a little with his friends. The voice quirk user was very nearly bouncing in place, his desire to go talk to the other clashing heavily with his inner cat that telling him to calm down. Wait. Cathead. Blinking, his expression becoming sheepish, the pro hero come DJ chuckled out
sure will be totally fine with me gushing over his little brother, right?
he asked the three people around him, regarding each other before looking towards the man in question. He was very protective of his siblings, wasn't he?
Aw, I'm sure he'll be fine with it.
Then what he advised, the glint of mischief letting in her eyes.
And besides, it's not as though he has Amado as his personal enforcer. If he isn't, right?
She snickered, her words causing him to balk, Spinner to laugh snort, and Tomoko to clap her hands together excitedly.
Ma? With this, only for me to find out.
She cheered, her hands grabbing his right arm in an impossible grip.
He's just left the bathroom. Come on.